Hi, AMC. Merry Christmas. Happy December. I'm super excited to wrap up the year this year with one more member interview to share with you guys and to introduce you to my friend, Ryan Leahy. Um, Here he is. He's
Hello.
pretty new to the club. Ryan, when did you sign up with us?
Yeah, I started I think just this last year. So
Okay.
officially, I've gone to some of the swims.
Yeah.
I've known a bunch of you guys for some time now. And then obviously I go to swimming sometimes when I just show up. So
Yeah.
yeah, so
Cool. Well, we'll
happy
get
to be
into
still.
some of your story here. So for everybody else in the club, Jeff and I swim with a master's group through the Highlands Ranch HRCA program. We've been going to the same class on Tuesday and Thursday mornings for like 8 or 9 years, a long time, and that's how we met Ryan. He shared lanes with Jeff and I both, and it's always pretty funny if he and Jeff share lanes. They're both so broad shouldered, and I don't know how they fit without like bruising each other. But anyway, we've known Ryan for a while, and he joined the club, and he's got a good heart and some good stories, and I'm excited to introduce him to you all. So, Ryan, to get us started, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then how you did get connected with AMC.
Yeah, so I am originally from Southern California, like Jeff and yourself as
And
well.
me, yes.
Okay, yeah. So that was a good conversation point for joining you guys in swimming, which we always have a great time, and that's
We
always
do.
a great way to start the morning. So
Mhm.
need to go to more of those. Because yeah, 6:30 to 7:30, done and done, Tuesdays and
Yep.
Thursdays.
Yep.
Um, anyways, but yeah, I got connected to the group through Tom Stafford,
Yes.
who is my uncle. And yeah, we're both originally from Southern California. I moved out here, um, based off of his advice,
Mhm.
and had no friends, didn't really know anyone out here. And the AMC members are like some of the first people I actually met. I would go to the Chatfield meetup on Thursdays and do the bike ride, or
Yeah.
whatever everyone was kind of going on, and everyone was super welcoming and fun. And triathlon has been something I've kind of been working on for the past years, and so it was perfect. So yeah, that's kind of how I got connected.
Cool. So that leads into the second question. How did you get into triathlon and what motivated you to take a stab at that? Do you have any background also? It's one of my questions in swimming, biking, running, any of the stuff.
No, I've always been a strong swimmer. I used to surf back in the day.
Mhm.
So swimming was always kind of something I've been good at. And but never like I never did it like team wise or anything like that. And
Mhm.
then rode my bike everywhere as a
Yeah.
kid. So
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
always kind of
yeah.
been, yeah, just kind of been on a bike, but nothing ever competitively.
Yeah.
And then I had done a before this, I had done a half marathon,
Okay.
and I trained, and I had the best time training for the half marathon. But I really messed up my knees in the
Mm,
meantime. So like I did a really like I had a this I did like the Nike Run training program and whatnot. And I just really messed up my knees during that time. And it was, I was a lot skinnier, and I was like, what else can I do here? Because I really enjoyed the fitness of running. But like just the pounding on the knees was not that great.
yeah.
So um Tom Stafford had done like multiple Ironmans at that time.
Mhm.
And so I kind of started talking to him about that as well. And I got my first road bike, which was like $50 off
Yeah.
of Craigslist or something
Yeah. Yeah.
way back in the day.
I
No,
love
like,
it.
no, just my Fiji,
Yep.
My Fuji, I think. Yeah, that's right.
Fiji's a nice name.
Yeah, I like the Fiji. the Fiji Fuji.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, and I signed up with actually my friend that I just did Arizona with, over 10 years ago for this little Newport Beach triathlon that was just like a little mini, and we're like, I remember being so excited. And the funniest part was like, I posted a picture of the bike, and Tom, who I'm like looking up to for these Ironman, goes, "What, did you get a DUI?" So I always give him crap for that to this day.
Gosh.
So, yeah, anyways, but that was my kind of how I got into triathlon, was just like, all right, something better than just running, because
Yeah.
that's not going to cut it. So,
Yeah. So I have a question about, I'm always interested in the swimming piece. It's challenging for a lot of triathlons, but it sounds like that was one that you were more confident with. But what was that like for you? It's really, at least for me, growing up in Southern California, I don't surf, but we swam in the ocean a lot, played around in the water a lot. I've always loved it, but I had never really learned to swim for fitness. And that was really hard for me. So what was that transition like for you, going from liking the water, surfing, feeling like you're a good swimmer? Was it easy to just kind of pick up lap swimming or distance swimming, or was that challenging?
I don't, I don't think it's like challenging, but I'm not like a great swimmer, you know
Yeah.
that. I mean, I'm
You're a
not,
fast swimmer though. Like you, when you put your mind to it, you can bust out some serious speed.
when I'm not screwing around, right?
Yeah, exactly. Joking
uh,
around with Jeff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just, I don't know about, I mean, I think the swimming piece is probably the most fun, but it's
Mhm.
also like, if you don't do your like the Tuesday, Thursday classes, I get so bored. And when I
Mhm.
was doing this Ironman training, I was actually purposely not doing that, and I was going
Mhm.
to like a local pool just because I
Sure.
knew that the distance and the mental part, was
Mhm.
coming up. And so, it is boring to do the longer distances, and it's so
Mhm.
much fun when you do like these AMC events or our swim thing, where it's like, that just the time goes by so much faster, or any triathlon actually
Mhm.
too. Like the time
Mhm.
just flies by when you're doing
Yes.
that. So I
Yeah.
don't think it was easy, but I don't, it's not like one of the most challenging pieces for me, I would say. So
Well, what is the most, what do you say, what would you say is the most challenging piece?
the bike, I
Yeah.
mean, I think the bike, just the hours and hours
Mm.
that you put on it is
Mhm.
and then especially if it's cold out and you can't,
Mhm.
like, if you have to be on the trainer's the worst. You
I
guys all know
agree.
that, but
I agree. I
um,
agree.
but I also think that once you get on the bike and you know, I mean, not doing like these long training sessions and stuff, I think the bike is the most fun.
Mhm.
Once you get going and once you're out there and just,
Mhm.
enjoying the day, not
Yeah.
8 hours today, so.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I saw this with Jeff when he did Ironman Arizona a couple of years ago is it's such a late season race that when you're getting into really the longest days, a lot of people have already wrapped up their season.
Oh
Sometimes the
yeah.
weather's getting cold or unpredictable. And so you can get, I think it can get really lonely in those last few weeks when you're like, oh, I'm out here on my own. Um, did you experience that, or were you able to get some stuff with friends in while you were putting in those long workouts?
I, Tom joined me on a few of the rides, but I really enjoyed that. Like, I
Mhm.
understand it. Yeah, exactly what he's talking about, where it was cold, but I'm sorry,
It's all right.
it was way less crowded on
Sure.
on the trails.
Yeah.
And then I hate being hot, so I was like, I can,
Yeah.
I'm a big guy, so I can be cold and be okay
Yeah.
versus the people. But when I get hot, it's like, ugh. So
Yeah. I sort of agree, actually. I don't like being overly cold or overly hot, so I'm a little,
yeah,
you know,
I'll take the cold over the hot, in my
iffy.
opinion. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Well, what was your that first little race in Newport? Was that what had that day go for you? Did you have a good time? What was it like?
Yeah, no, it was a great time. We, it was funny because it was like this little mini triathlon. And like I said, I was surfing at the time.
Mhm.
And that day, it was at the Newport like out of the like the Newport Peninsula, right? But we're so it's a for those that don't know, it's like an area that normally has really small waves
Yeah.
and very family friendly and whatnot. And that day there was just this random storm that had rolled through, and the
Oh
waves were
no.
like 6 to 8 feet.
At Newport. Oh wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was a big day. And I remember just like me and my buddy were fine, but I remember that they had to like get all these extra lifeguards, and they were trying to explain to all these people that were just rookies, probably like ourselves, that were like,
Yeah.
okay, when the wave breaks, you want to go to the bottom.
Under it.
Yeah, as far as you can go down to the bottom.
Yeah.
And it was just chaos on the swim
Yeah.
trying to get out past the waves. And it was, you barely got past the waves and then it was back in like that short of a distance.
Wow. Wow.
But I just, yeah, there was just a couple funny stories. And one, this poor lady, she's like panicking, and I'm like next to her, and I'm like, it's gonna be okay. We're just gonna dive at the bottom, remember?
Yeah.
And the lifeguard starts swimming up because he sees her panicking. And as the wave's about to come, like this random wave, the lifeguard goes, "Oh, S."
Yeah.
Like I'm like, that's not what we're supposed to do right now.
Yeah.
But it was just like one of those funny stories. Everyone was fine, but it was for being such like a mini triathlon. It was rather chaotic, but
Yeah.
it was a good time.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. You definitely had an advantage being comfortable in the waves in the ocean. I know ocean swims can be terrifying for people who are
yeah,
used to the ocean and haven't had all this practice knowing what to do.
yeah, and it's so fun once you get past the waves, But I can definitely see that where and then you add the shark factor in too, and
Yeah.
that's which you're doing the Alcatraz swim,
Yeah,
right?
I am. Yeah, in August. And then Jeff and I are doing Oceanside as a relay in
Oh,
April 1st. So I'm going to do the swim. And
awesome.
then we have a buddy that's going to do the bike that lives out there. And then Jeff's going to do the run. So I'll have two cold ocean swims. And I don't surf. And big waves do freak me out, but I do love the ocean. So it'll just be interesting to see kind of how I do with that start. I think I'll be okay. I'm sure I'll get nervous, but I do love swimming in the ocean once I'm out there. So I think it'll go okay. We'll see.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's that same thing. Like you're right by the harbor, right
Yes,
there,
right
and
there.
they
Not
do
too
have.
big of waves.
Yeah,
You
it should be
just did it.
fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would be more nervous about the Alcatraz,
Yeah.
the freezing cold Alcatraz.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I do Oceanside too, and that was
Yeah.
a
It's a
really
good
fun
one.
swim. Yeah, so you'll enjoy it, I'm
Thank
sure.
you.
Yeah,
Well, so jump forward. You said about 10 years,
yeah.
and you participated in Ironman Arizona last month in November. Was that was that your first full? Have you done a full before? I
That
don't
was
know this
my
about you.
that was my second attempt at a full,
Okay.
actually.
Okay.
And yeah,
Okay.
so we signed up for Ironman Ireland in
Oh,
2018. Yeah.
I remember
And
that. Okay. And that was
yeah,
a wild weather day, right? Like gale
yeah,
force winds. Yeah.
they canceled the swim, and
Yeah.
then it just rained the whole day. It was chaos. So yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't make it on that one either.
Okay.
But I was like, by the time the bike even started that morning, it was like there was no, I was not mentally there compared
Sure.
to where I was for this Arizona race. Like
Yeah.
it was just I know Jeff just did that crazy race and whatnot, but it wasn't like I knew starting that one out that it wasn't going to go well.
It's
So
gonna be a good day. Yeah.
I was much more ready and mentally prepared for this Arizona race. So
Well, tell us about the day. What went well for you? What didn't go good for you? What did you learn? I know it didn't go the way you wanted it to, but anything you want to share would be awesome.
yeah. So it was a lot of fun. It was I mean, just training up to it, everything in general just was, it was a great experience. I trained with Coach Mary. She's awesome. And just that whole going up to it, like I was really mentally ready for this one. Like I was like, all right, the training's part of the journey,
Mhm.
you know, making that the biggest part of the journey, which it is obviously
Yeah.
the biggest part of the journey.
Yeah.
But super excited. I had met with Jeff. I had met with, multiple people. I had met with Tom,
Mhm.
and just who had both done the race. And, that whole weekend just goes by so quickly.
Yes.
You train for a year and you're just like antsy with anticipation for the year. But then that weekend, or I guess even that like month coming up to it comes up and it's just like, boom,
Mhm.
over.
Mhm. Mhm.
We pulled in on Friday, and next thing you know, that you're going into that. It's always that first initial, as you're getting kind of corralled into the water, is when you're
Yeah.
like, oh, this just happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that weekend building up to it goes by really quickly.
Mhm.
And let's see. Um, yeah, I mean, I all systems were go.
Mhm.
I had just got not just, but like a few months prior, I had just got a triathlon bike
Oh,
for the
okay.
first time.
Gotcha.
And I got it, and I had the guys over at Bike Source were great. And I had just gotten an adjustment like 2 to 3 weeks before, where they put on a I don't know what they call it, but it's an extender piece just to make it a little bit higher, like the cockpit or whatever, a little bit higher. Tested it out. Um, tested out the tested out that the bike when I got it back. I did the tri bike transport.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Tested that, yeah, and I rode. The biggest mistake I made was I had heard about the bumps and whatnot, but I didn't know like the severity of them.
Mhm.
And maybe I should have looked into that. I was worried about like thorns hitting my tires, and I had a bunch of spares, and I was
Mhm.
prepared for that. But when I did my test ride, I did it on the I guess the lake, like there's
Yeah.
the little
Yeah. Yeah.
pathway along the lake. So
Yes.
super smooth, and my bike was fine. Um and so yeah, I mean the swim started out, it was good. It was there was like a new turn that they had added to the end of the swim,
Mhm.
I guess, from what I'm told, but you had to like go out and to the right.
Mhm.
But there were so many people being pulled out of the water due to hypothermia or just being
Oh.
cold or whatever. I guess there was a super high amount of people that got pulled out.
Mm.
There was the boat that was pulling the people in were going like right in front of that turn. So you had to go out to the right, and then there was this crazy wake happening from this boat going back and forth.
Oh, wow.
And my buddy that had got into the water like 10 minutes before me, he said he didn't experience as much as I did, but
Mm.
it was like a common talk in the thread.
Mm.
So that like I swam an additional 200 yards
Oh,
and like just tried to get
wow.
around this crazy wake, and it was just created
Yeah.
this cluster of people.
Yeah.
But the swim actually felt great. It went way longer than I was planning for it to go. Like I was going for like 220. It ended up being not 220, 120,
Yeah.
and it was like 140 or something like that.
Right.
So
Okay.
it was like 20 minutes longer than I expected.
Mm.
All good.
Yeah.
Got on the bike. And that, something I had been preparing for. It was like, all right, I know what we have to do to keep my bike time to where it needs to be.
Yeah.
But like right on, you go out and then you go up onto the beeline,
Yeah.
and the wind was there,
Yeah.
which we were ready for. That's everyone talks about the wind being crazy,
Yep.
but the bump piece I was not. And the bumps were just, I don't I guess, the bumps were just crazy. And that first going up the beeline, all of a sudden that like the cockpit, again, I'm terrible with terms or whatever, but the aero bars started to shake, and I was
Um,
like, this isn't good.
yeah.
So at the first on the like before I went down the first time, like I found a tent and stopped, and tighten it with them. Like we were tightening it as much as possible.
Mm,
Uh, Seemed okay.
mhm,
Went down the first time and it
mhm.
felt great.
Okay.
So, and then going into lap two, as I started to go down the B line this time, it came off. Like
Oh no. Like
yeah,
fully came off.
no, it didn't fully come off, but
Okay.
it was like this. Like it wasn't, there was nothing
Oh no.
that was gonna go well with this. So I stopped
Yeah.
again. And this time I found like a mechanic and
Yeah.
he's looking at it. We're trying to tighten it as much as possible.
Yeah.
And I ended up having to do it again. But long story short, like I was looking forward to being like the reason I got that aero bike was so I can be in the aero
Yeah.
and barely made the bike cut off. It was like by
Mm.
seconds I was told or something, you know. So
Wow. Yeah.
and
A lot of
then
problem solving, it sounds like.
lots and lots of problem
Yeah.
solving. But I was hoping to have, 30 minutes, 45
Mm.
minutes extra on
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
And then the run, I was just yeah, I was annoyed by everything that had happened. Just getting
Yeah.
in by seconds, like I was kind of watching the clock. I knew I was really close,
Yeah.
um, and so having to push that last, harder on that last.
Mhm.
I wasn't in my rhythm at the end of it because I knew I was gonna push up against that clock. So my legs were beat.
Yeah.
Sorry, and then went to the run,
Mhm.
and the run I was just like, I was going with Tom, and he's like, all right, here's what we got to do, and my miles weren't going fast going fast enough for it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I was like, we were doing everything we could. I was
Yeah.
trying to do run walks,
Mhm.
which was my plan. Like I was on a 4-1 4-1 run, and then 1 minute walk 4-1,
Yeah.
and my times weren't going fast enough, and I was like moving my legs as fast as I could, and my time was not coming back like
Yeah.
nearly fast enough to make the pace. Like Tom was with me and he would be
Mhm.
walking and I was running and my legs were just not.
Mm.
I was like, I'm running as fast as I can right now.
Mm.
And so um at mile 21
Mm.
something, I forget exactly what it was. They had a cutoff at 9:45 or something like that, and I was like 10 minutes behind it.
Okay.
Um, and so it was done right there. So they
Dang.
yeah, it was a bummer. Yeah, I had another buddy that was there, and he was just like a couple minutes behind it, and he made it past that,
Mm.
was able to finish.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, it was a major bummer. I was pretty beat myself up pretty badly about it because I
Mhm.
was like, all right, I was so ready for this race.
Yeah.
And but I I went until they pulled me off the course.
Yeah. Which is amazing.
Yeah, and it was just a huge learning lesson because at the end of the day, like I think that something is going to happen to
Mhm.
you on the Ironman course, and that's why it's called an Ironman,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
you have to be ready. Like there's plenty of other people that finished and dealt with problems. There was a guy that lost his seat for okay, like how does that happen?
How do you move forward? See.
Yeah, he lost his seat and he had to ride like the third loop without his seat or something. That's the story that I heard. I don't know if that what the how true or there's just it was craziness, and I think that's what we have to expect,
Yeah.
if you're gonna do an Ironman.
Mhm.
I thought I was ready to go, but I've been in much better shape before, I
Mm.
think, which I could have been in. And I could have, if I would have been not just like, all right, here's what I have to do for my run to get through it, to get to the finish line. I think I could have been into, all right, I'm a faster runner right now, and I don't need to worry about playing the mental time, all that stuff. So it was just, I am going to be out there again. I'm
Yeah.
not 100% sure when. I'm thinking 2024.
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
yeah. So
Take a break, let yourself reset. Is that
well, it's not even that. It's
yeah.
we're having another baby in
Oh,
February.
in February. Oh,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Yeah. So
But yeah, that'll be a big deal next year. Yeah.
yeah, so we had Jack,
Yeah.
who is he's my Y, by the way.
Mm, mm.
He is we had him, and that was Iron Man that same year, the Ireland.
Oh, okay.
And everyone was like, oh, that's probably not a good idea. No, like no, don't. We'll be different. He'll sleep great and whatnot, and you just don't. There's not great sleeping that happen for us at least. And yeah, you have a lot going on when you have a baby. So
But yeah, that makes sense. That
so
makes sense.
we are gonna I'm going to wait it out,
Yeah.
get into better shape because I know I can do an hour of working out a day, not a
Amazing.
problem,
Yeah.
but not 8 hours,
Oh,
so
yeah.
so
Absolutely.
um,
That makes sense. What if I didn't send you this question? So I'm springing it on you, but I'm just listening to all this. Like, what's the biggest thing you've learned about yourself? Like through this experience? Like, yeah, I'll leave it at that. What would you say is the biggest thing you've learned about yourself?
um I am let's see. What I've learned about myself is that you have to, for me at least, like you have to dedicate all your energy on what you're doing at that point. It's like through all my like racing, I think that you have to give it 110% as to and that sucks sometimes for work or like I do sales and like that takes up a lot of my time. But
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're going to do something like this, that you've got to give it your all and you've got to make it your first priority over everything else, which
Mm-hmm.
can be, with the family and stuff, that can
Yeah.
be a little
Yeah.
bit selfish.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's important to have the conversations,
Mm-hmm.
with your significant others,
Mm-hmm.
as to, all right, here's what we're doing,
Yeah.
why we're doing it.
Yeah.
I've got to get this race out of my way. And it's like it's a must do for me.
Yeah.
And here's what that's going to entail. And then you have to execute
Mm-hmm.
on that, So like there's it's gonna take a bunch of extra time. And I think in this one, even I could have given it more time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you have to just focus on that
Yeah.
and get it done.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was just I can't do this, I can't have a bunch of things going on. I really got to focus and
Mm-hmm.
make that the top priority.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And Jeff and I don't have little kids at home. So that is, I could see that being an enormous thing to figure out how to balance. And I know other people figure out a way, but I respect that. And I mean, even though just as a married couple, we've had that conversation like, can we not do this every year? Because
Right.
you have to negotiate and you have to figure out like how to make it work with your family and the rest of your other priorities. But that's good advice, that kind of focus, um, like a focused priority being one of the most important things that needs to be there.
Yeah, I think like for me at least too, just with anything, it's just, getting the proper amount of sleep, making sure that I get my workouts in the morning time
Mhm.
because anytime something gets pushed off to the afternoon, it doesn't happen,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
um,
And be the same way.
yeah, but yeah, with anything like that, you just have to, it's such a huge part of that portion of your life when you're training,
Yeah.
for anyone.
Yeah.
You have to plan and
Yeah.
make it top priority.
Yeah. Yeah.
um and I did a really good job on that for this one compared to like other races and whatnot, where
Mhm.
like, all right, well, you can't, the guys are doing this or else is going on, or
Mhm.
you want to try this class or do
Yeah.
something else. That I didn't do any of that for this one, which was even more of a bummer, but
Yeah.
you got it even more so. It's got to be the main thing.
Yeah. That
So
makes sense. That makes sense. Well, I had asked for your advice on as the last question for someone that wants to make their Ironman a goal, and we're coming up on a time limit here for the 30-minute video. But do you have anything else you want to add? I mean, your answer just there really, I think, was some good advice about focus and prioritizing. Do you have anything else you want to add to that? If there's someone out there that wants to try their first full.
I think that you can do it. I think that anyone can do it. Like I said, prioritize, prioritize your time, talk to as many great people like yourselves as possible, get some mentors out there. So many cool people in this group, I'm sure, have, great experiences with Ironman. Get a coach. Mary's amazing. It's just like, here's what you do today, and then you go do it. Not too much more to it, but when you're doing that, like there's a lot, there's a lot of like planning and stuff that we don't know, or I don't know at least, that goes into it, that you're like, okay, I'm getting better, and it starts out slow, but I think it's an enjoyable experience, and you'll have a lot of fun. If you're on the fence, do it. Like I've set up a year, talk to your family, set up a year that you can take to get this done, but it's not so bad. I mean, I haven't finished yet, so it is tough. It's really hard. But I'm going to do it again.
I love it.
And it's an awesome experience. So do it. Just show up.
Yeah, that's just great. I love it. Well, thank you for sharing, Ryan. I said this to you before we were recording, but I know, so many of us have experiences of races that didn't go the way that we wanted, or unexpected things that cropped up that, you couldn't have prepared for. And I just appreciate you being willing to talk about it and go like, hey, I gave this my all. I didn't get across the finish line, but here's what I learned. And I love that you're going to come back at it. I know Jeff was wanting to go out and cheer for you, and we couldn't pull it off, but maybe next time we could plan for it and be out there cheering for you when you're doing it. So,
well, I'm glad it wasn't this one then, and next time for sure. So that would be a lot of fun. So,
well, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for your time, Ryan. And next year, even if you're not doing a full, hopefully we'll see you on some of the group bike rides, group swims. We have a lot of fun together.
Oh, for sure. I will definitely be at the group events, and I have to be. So, and then 2024, crazy again. So
love it. Cool. Well, have a great day, Ryan. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon. Bye.